today's episode of Juicing the Numbers, a Statistics and Sports podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Tracy.
And I'm Corwin Heller.
And, we're still doing the whole quarantine thing, socially distancing, all that jazz. So that means that there's still not too much to go into detail on in the world of sports, since most sports still aren't happening right now. But there's a few updates for the NFL and a few miscellaneous topics elsewhere. So we'll do what we can with what we got. Sound good to you?
That's how we usually do it.
Yes, sir. All right, so Corwin and I figured we'd start off by wrapping up a bow on what's happened in the world of NFL free agency since we last discussed. It's not been too much, but figured we'd at least, like I said, tie a bow on it. So where do you want to start?
I guess we should start with Desmond Trufant on this list.
Yes, makes sense.
Neither of us could remember if we mentioned him previously, and neither of us wanted to take the time to go check, because why not talk about him again? So we will mention later on, Darius Slay was traded. He is no longer with the Lions. So this is their replacement. And while I definitely think Darius Slay is a better player, all around now for the team that's not the Lions. I won't spoil that yet, even though I'm sure you've already heard. Desmond Trufant is a nice little... He's a QB or quarterback one. For the Lions, I think he'll fill in nicely. Not the player that Slay was, but he'll fill in that role.
Yeah, this is the ever continuing shuffling of pieces around that happens in the NFL, where it's that balance between how talented do we think this dude is versus how much does it cost to keep him around. And the Lions made a combination of judgment calls based on that and based on I guess Darius Slay's inclination to stay in Detroit. Apparently, he shat on Matthew Patricia after I think that's his first name. That sounds right. After he left. So it sounds like he was just itching to get out of there, which it seems like Detroit was willing to accommodate. So yeah, Desmond Trufant, everything you said to a T. Lions just looking to get to the next chapter.
Yeah. I still don't know what their plan is. And
no fucking clue. No fucking clue.
That's not a good thing.
What
like
would you have said?
It's one thing. It's like, oh, if you're trying to keep it down low, not have the whole world know what you're trying to accomplish so that they could undermine that plan. But if like people genuinely aren't even sure what you're going after in the first place, that's not a great sign. Just ask Bill O'Brien.
What would you have said was the Lions' big hole going into this offseason? Like what were they a thing away from?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Like what if you were the Lions GM heading into the offseason, what would you have been doing? Like we know what they are doing. I in only a transactional sense, but like I don't even know what they should have been doing.
Yeah, it's just I don't know how you could look at the Lions roster and say, hey, we have a really good chance to compete this year, in a division with the Vikings, the Packers, and the Bears. All three of them where, the Packers were a contender last year and are still a contender this year. The Vikings were a contender last year, and yeah, they lost some pieces on that defensive line, which we can mention. It's not like they're not a contender now in the NFC. The Bears were a contender 2 years ago and just traded for a new quarterback, which we'll talk about, which could put them back in that race next year. The Lions, on the other hand, are just not quite that close, and in all honesty, should probably tear down and fight for the future, not, fight for the now. Which I would understand trading Darius Slay in that situation, especially signing Desmond Trufant to a fairly decent contract for a player that's going to be your cornerback one. But at the same time, you're investing in other positions. You still have Matt Stafford on your roster, which he could have been a very interesting trade piece, or whatever you want to do with him in the long run. It's just, I don't know. I feel like there's too much wishy-washy uncertainty there about what you're trying to do.
It feels like they've always been just a smattering of really good pieces and glaring holes for like the entire history of that team, at the very least dating back to Barry Sanders, where it's like it feels like they've just been constantly wasting Hall of Fame talent because they've never known how to like really construct a roster.
Yeah, they are a unfortunate franchise, and I don't know. They have some long-term changes they'd have to make to really turn that thing around, and I don't think Matt Patricia and everything everyone said about him is the guy to do that.
Oh fuck no. Um if you were like the Lions GM though, and you got told by ownership, look, make this roster work. I want to compete next season. What would you have done?
Man, here, let me pull up the Lions roster real quick just to see.
Great point. Let's
Um,
start there. Let's start that shit show.
yeah, like honestly, yeah, you'd have to get rid of the coaching staff and bring some new guys in.
Let's leave that to you're right, first off. But
Mhm.
let's leave that to the side just because that's a lot. Let's go strictly roster moves.
Man, wide receiver is not great, but you could have
Serviceable?
easily have signed some guys or whatnot. I mean, Kenny Galladay, he's your wide receiver one. That's fantastic. Danny Amendola, okay, there's your slot guy. You need another guy on the opposite side. Honestly, not too hard to get a year like this, especially in the draft when they're drafting relatively early. Uh, they signed some, they signed some guys on the offensive line. Some are better than others. I think Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker are the two big names there. They got Graham Glasgow, excuse me, and the guy from the Eagles, Vitae, which is fine. At running back, you have Kerryon Johnson. That's fine. Tight end, you have TJ Hawkinson. Fantastic. Um, and then, of course, you have Mr. Quarterback. That's totally fine. On defense, just, I don't know. I mean, Trey Flowers and Darius Slay would have been okay. Ashawn Robinson at D tackle, okay. You don't really have anyone great as D ends. There's not much there. I just don't know. I just think there's too much work there on defense to really, unless you really went out and did a lot uh, in free agency and the draft to shore up that defense. That's a lot of work that would need to get done. Um, it'd be tough, but you definitely have to sign some edge rushers. I mean, Austin Bryan is really the only big name there, and that's nothing spectacular. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of work to be done there.
Yeah, of free agents available. You're right with the wide receiver thing. Robbie Anderson's a guy. He's a speedy guy. I'm not sure how much he would help in their scheme just because I don't know their scheme enough, but like he would have been available to at least be a go guy. And he
Mhm.
probably would have been pretty cheap. Speaking as a Jets fan, I've seen him plenty, and he's I'd say a solid wide receiver too. Behind Kenny Galladay, I think he'd fare okay. The Jets needed him to be a wide receiver one, and he wasn't, which isn't necessarily his fault. But I'd say he's a pretty serviceable wide receiver two guy. Um, they just lost Eric Ebron. Do we care about that?
They actually lost him 2 years ago,
Oh, that's right. He was with the
3 years ago,
Colts
whatever it
last
is.
season, right?
Yeah.
Who was their tight end last year?
TJ Hawkinson.
Was he good? I don't remember.
He was pretty good, but he got a bad concussion, I think, and that had him sit out for a long time.
I see. Okay. I'm trying to think of who else would have really been helpful to them, but the problem is I don't know what their real issue. I guess the first point of note is that they'd have to be spending a lot of money, no matter what, because I don't think Detroit knows how to draft. Um, at least in my experience, having been a viewer of the Detroit Lions experience, they've never known how, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Mhm.
Um, damn. I guess there's some other trades. There's some trades that would have been beneficial to them that other teams have made, like trading for AJ Bouye, um, or hell, trading for DeAndre Hopkins, since apparently that was on the fucking table.
Mhm.
I guess it's the thing. I don't even know where to fucking begin with that goddamn Sat Sack franchise. Yeah. All right. Anyway, we can move on from this. We spent a lot of time talking about Detroit.
And they don't deserve it.
They don't. They don't. They've done nothing to deserve it.
So what's next? Let's move on here. I mean,
Do you care that the Minnesota Vikings signed quarterback Sean Mannion?
no, not even the
Do you
slightest.
care that Kansas City re-signed quarterback Chad Henne?
No.
What about the Cincinnati Bengals signing Xavier Suafilo to a 3-year, $10 million contract?
Nope. It's a backup guy.
Carolina Panthers signing defensive back Trey Boston, 3 years, $18 million.
We actually already talked about Trey Boston.
Oh, did we? Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Tampa Bay Buccaneers re-signing wide receiver Bryant Mitchell.
I don't know who that is.
Don't care then. Broncos re-signing defensive back Devontae Bosby.
No idea who that is.
Baltimore Ravens signing defensive end Calais Campbell.
We talked about.
Okay. Denver Broncos acquired Jarrell Casey from the Tennessee Titans for a 2020 7th-round draft pick.
Also discussed.
Did we really go over all this?
Yeah, because you didn't know who Jarrell Casey was.
I never know who anyone is.
That's true, but like you, Spot Track had it listed under a different name.
Oh,
like
it was that. Oh, that's
Casey,
right.
whatever it
That's
was.
right.
Yeah.
All right, then what do you think about the Rams cutting Clay Matthews? This had to have been coming for everybody.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know why anyone would be surprised by this. He's just not the player he was back in his prime. You know, he's very much over the hill. Like a 33-year-old edge rusher is rare, especially one playing at a level high enough for the contract that he committed. Especially with the cap hell the Rams are in right now, which
Yes,
we'll mention. It was definitely a cap casualty that was coming.
yeah. His dead cap hit against the Rams was $2 million, but I don't know what they saved by cutting him. So, all of that just in roster bonus. Yeah, I don't know what what the savings was on that, but yeah, the Rams desperately trying to shed some fucking money. Which speaking of which, also led to them cutting Todd Gurley. And it's ironic because last episode we talked about no team wanting to be the Rams with the Todd Gurley situation, and then I think literally the next day after we talked about it, the day the episode aired, the Rams cut Todd Gurley, and then he proceeded to sign with Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Again, this is one of those things where if they kept him any longer than the day they cut him, March 19th, they would have owed him a lot more money. It's one of those things where he's been so injured with the arthritis in his knees that it's hard to pay him his massive contract they gave him. It's another cap casualty, and it's a damn shame, but it's also a pretty big reason why I preach not to pay running backs. It's just a position that can be easily replaced, injury prone, and just overall not quite the value that the money Todd Gurley got. It's not worth it. And I mean, he ended up signing a 1-year deal for $5 million with the Atlanta Falcons, which at that price, I'd love to have Todd Gurley on my team. I think that's a fantastic prove-it deal for him. He's got some guys there. Actually, they cut Devonta Freeman, so it's basically him and I want to say Brian Hill and Ito Smith now. Not exactly two barn burners. I think Ito Smith is going to be a good enough back to share the load with him, so he's not running the ball 300 times this season. So I think he'll have opportunity and also the workload needed for him to have a good year if you can keep his knee healthy. So I think that's a great deal for Atlanta, and it just sucks the Rams signed him to that contract and eventually had to eat it the way they did.
How I really must be reading this wrong, but how much dead cap do you think he has in 2020 for the Rams?
Ooh, I want to find out. I'm going to Google it.
I have it in front of me. But again, I must be reading this number wrong.
I don't know, $9.5 million.
This claims dead cap, $20.15 million.
No, there was no way he was getting paid that much.
I again, which is why I must be reading this wrong. But for 2020, it says base salary $5.5 million, signing bonus 4.2, roster bonus 7.55 for a 17.25 cap hit and a 20.15 dead cap.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and also it's a 1-year $6 million contract for the Falcons. But
good on him. Good on him.
But like, God
Wow.
damn,
that is brutal.
Yeah.
There's no way that they had to have done some cap magic to alleviate some of that, because that is unbearable. I gotta go to the Rams and figure out what their cap is for 2020, because holy shit, that is awful.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe they just put a lot of money towards him to settle up on some of the cap stuff for 2021, because they don't owe him, from what this looks like anyway.
Man.
They don't owe him any money going forward. Like, all of it's been crossed out, or which I'm assuming that means it's all gone. I really hope for the Rams' sake, but
So
that's an ugly fucking number.
I really want to say that would have been his cap hit, if his dead cap, if they kept him longer. It looks like his June, man, I don't know. So 2020, oh wow, no. After June 1st, it would have been $29.8 million.
Oh my God.
Oh, I gotta stick with that number. I don't want to, but holy shit.
I literally couldn't believe it as I was looking at it.
Do you know what you know what Jared Goff's dead cap number is currently?
Oh my God. What is it?
You have to guess.
30.
No.
What is
Not
it?
even close.
What is it?
$94 million.
No.
That's what he's guaranteed for the rest of his deal. So the dead cap would be, if they cut him, that is all against their cap this year. $94 million.
Oh my God. No, why?
His cap hit is $36 million just this year for Jared
Jesus.
Goff.
Wow.
Yikes. You know what? Jared Goff, one of those guys I went to bat for. I really thought he was the guy, and he is not. He is not the guy.
I mean, at least the Rams won that Super Bowl, So at least they got to walk away from it. Like,
you got
they have that title. Like, it sucks now, but like they did the right thing. Like, they won the Super Bowl. Wait, no, they did. They beat the Patriots like 42-0, and yeah, LA should feel really good about what they had to do to get that.
Oh man, it sucks to be an LA Rams fan. It's a good thing they don't have any.
Yeah, it's a good thing all their fans are 3 years old. Wow, I still am just in awe of that. So this is terrible for the Rams, but in theory, possibly very good for the Falcons.
Yeah, I think that's great for them. Again, the Falcons had some interesting moves this offseason, but overall, I can't complain with their overall plan. At least we can kind of tell what it is.
Yeah,
Um,
really.
so you know, it's it's good for them. I think he's gonna have a good year.
All right, let's talk about the Bucks. They made a big move. They
Did they?
they re-signed linebacker Kevin Minter to a 1-year, $1.19 million
Yeah.
contract.
That's probably their biggest signing of the offseason.
Yeah, that's an impact. I can't wait till he lines those backs. Yeah, so Tampa Buccaneers signed Tom Brady, 2-year, $60 million contract. 50 million of that 60 is guaranteed. And the rest is in incentives, and
That's a lot of money.
that's so much money.
Yeah.
Granted, it's all for these next 2 years, so it's basically, hey, we win now or we don't. Which if you're going to do it this way makes the most sense. It's what the Rams probably should have done, but just chose not to. Uh, yeah, what do you think? I know we talked about it in a touch the other day, but like we've had some more time to sit on it, and the financials are out. So, what do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't think Tom Brady is necessarily a perfect fit for Bruce Arians. I also don't necessarily think he's anywhere close to as bad as people perceive him currently. So it's one of those areas where you're paying a lot more than uh, you would think for a quarterback who's 43 years old, but at the same time, he's still got a decent amount of juice left. He's got the perfect brain for Bruce Arians. I mean, Bruce Arians, just notable quarterback whisperer, has played, and coached the best of them. So I'm really excited to see how he builds this offense around Tom Brady, which I know Bruce Arians is going to do. That's the kind of coach he is. He's going to build it around the strengths of Tom Brady. So it's not going to be the same offense we saw last year, which should definitely help the Bucks out because as much as that worked, that definitely would not have been Tom Brady's best possible, fit. So yeah, $60 million is a lot of money for 43-year-old Tom Brady, but at the same time, if you're the Bucks, I don't know how you could look at that and say that's an overpay for arguably the greatest quarterback of all time.
I'm going to speak on behalf of all football fans for a moment, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. No one cares. The Bucks. No one cares about the Bucks. Everyone knows who Tom Brady is. No one gives a fuck. The only thing anyone cares about is the question of who's going to do better, Brady without Belichick or Belichick without Brady. And outside of that, no one fucking cares. Like no one.
I
They're still with Tom Brady the least interesting team in that division.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I think who else do they have? They have what? The Panthers are in that division,
Yeah, who
right?
are going to be interesting because they got Christian McCaffrey. They're going with the Teddy Two Glove situation.
Brand
Got a
new
new head
coach.
coach coming in. Yeah, like that's right, high or low. It's going to be an interesting season for them. The Saints, they got Drew Brees still. They're trying to make another like last ditch kind of playoff push before Brees' twilight seasons come to. No, it's 2 seasons for Drew Brees, but still. Who's the fucking the fourth
Falcons.
team in there? The Falcons. The Falcons. They got Julio. They have Todd Gurley now. They got interesting coaching. And the Bucks aren't like a boring team, but I think the thing that's most interesting about them is that now they have Tom Brady, and now we get to see Brady against Breeze twice a year.
Which is going to be phenomenal.
Oh, it's gonna be great. But like that, I honestly think that most people, it's like, oh man, Brady left New England, and then the next day is, I don't fucking care. Because it'd be different if it was like Julio Jones got sent to New England like while Tom Brady was there. Then it's like, you fucking kidding me? God damn it, this happens all the time. It's Randy Moss 2.0. Gotta be shitting me. But this time around, it's just like, okay. All right.
Yeah. What happens if I don't know what the schedules are this year. I don't know if they've even been released. I doubt it. But if the Buccaneers win week 1 and the Patriots lose, how much are people going to be fingering their own assholes talking ad nauseum about it?
Oh, it's going to be relentless. Coupled with the fact there is like so much pent aggression around sports talk because none of it's happening now. That hot take swings is going to be the most backed up orgasm in the world. It'll be insane. The amount of hot takes spewing out of people's mouths over this. It's going to make you hate everything. I'm excited. I can't for next page hot takes.
I really don't want to listen to Colin Cowherd. I don't want to listen to who's the fucking guy that used to be with oh my god, I can't remember anyone's name right now. Fuck it, whatever. We could just focus on Colin Cowherd. Fuck
Colin Cowherd. Oh god. And he's just going to be chortling Brady's balls down in Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm. And no matter what happens with Brady, you better believe Colin Cowherd is going to say he called it. Even if he didn't, he knew it from the beginning.
And if anything goes wrong, it's not Brady's fault. But if it was, he knew, and he sucks. God, I hate him. Anyway, what was I going to say next?
No.
All right, so some free agents who haven't been signed yet. I might be skipping ahead a bit, but who cares?
Let's finish with guys who have signed.
All right, that's fair. That's
still some more.
Who's
So
left?
Darius Slay ended up signing a contract with the Eagles, an extension.
Right.
I'm sorry?
I said, that's right. He got traded real quick just to give that aspect of it from Detroit, as we said, for a 2023 and a 2025, which is not a lot, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, if he didn't want to come back, he wasn't going to sign an extension. He was going to hold out, whatever it may be. Whatever. You got value for it. I don't want to dig into that too much right now.
Nope. Totally fair.
Ended up signing a 3-year, $50 million extension, making him the highest paid. Is he? Actually, I don't think so. I think Byron Jones was bigger.
Byron Jones's contract was 5 years, 82.5.
Let's see. Let's go to Spot Track again. Let's look at cornerback. Go. Darius Slay has the highest average.
Okay.
So Byron Jones has the most total money. Darius Slay has the highest average.
How much is Darius guaranteed?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
He is guaranteed $30 million.
All right, Byron Jones guaranteed $54.375.
Yeah, that's a massive contract.
So much money.
The Dolphins have the second and third highest paid cornerbacks in the league right now.
Love to see it.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting strategy for building a defense from the ground up. But whatever. I think that's a great deal for Darius Slay. I think it's, the way contracts work, always increasing in value because increase in salary cap. That's the way it is. I think he is very much deserving of the highest paid contract for a cornerback right now. So good on the Eagles. They definitely needed it. So the value is there. I think this is going to be a really great deal for them. And I think the Eagles might run away with the division this year.
I mean, that wouldn't be hard. Literally going 10-6 last year would have run away with the division.
Do you know what their draft pick is this year? What draft position they are?
I have no idea. Do you?
No, that's why I asked.
I thought it was like a leading question.
No. All right, 2020 draft picks for the Eagles. They picked 21. There's no way they don't go wide receiver there because, by God, they need it.
Okay.
I think they're definitely not gonna be able to get one of the top 2 guys. I think CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, and likely Henry Ruggs are going to be gone. But I don't know. There's so many top receivers, first round value receivers in this draft. I think there's a serious chance that they either A, move up and grab their guy, or just end up with a perfect fit at 21. Maybe not perfect fit, but they'll get a guy at 21 regardless. Because I mean, right now it's Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, which
is not a
granted,
great duo as of 2020.
yeah, they'll get the job done, but they need another guy. And Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, great, but at the end of the day, tight ends can only go so far.
Yep.
So Eagles, good on them. Another non sequitur. But yeah, moving on, looking down the list of big name guys, the Browns signed Kevin Johnson, former first round pick of the Bills and the Texans, for 1 year, $3.5 million, which to be their number 3, their number 4 guy, fantastic signing. Just figured I'd throw that out there. Clinton Dix signed with the Cowboys for $4 million over 1 year.
Which
Pretty good
I don't know what to
signing
make.
there.
I don't know what to make of that. Yeah. I would have really expected him to get more than that.
I did too. You know, it's one of those things where he was on the Bears last year and, you know, didn't have a phenomenal season, but definitely was a good player. I think this is one of those sign for cheap for 1 year, prove it deal, and then go out for the big contract next year. I don't know. But overall, fairly good signing for the Cowboys. I'm a fan of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, great value.
Now for a big one, Melvin Gordon, 2 years, $16 million for the Broncos. And you have to think that there's got to be some more movement in that running back room because they already have Phillip Lindsay. They already have Royce Freeman there. Melvin Gordon's, he's going to be the 1A to whoever the 1B is going to be. And, you know, if they have a really two-headed snake there. But, you know, $8 million AAV, just $2 million more than Todd Gurley. You know, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think he'll do well there. You know, I don't think he's ever going to be at his peak the way he was with the Chargers for those 2 seasons, and when he scored, you know, 1 billion touchdowns. But you know, pretty good signing for the Broncos.
I'm not sure I understand this one.
Yeah,
just because Phillip Lindsay makes no money,
Yep.
and this contract is inherently significantly more than how much he's making. And do you think, all right, so Phillip Lindsay's base salary is total cap hit is $755,000 in 2020 with a dead cap of $5,000. And what's his fucking name? Austin Eckler, right? I'm not using the wrong name. Yeah, Austin Eckler. He's going to be making $8 million next year. That's over 10 times as much as Phillip Lindsay. Do you think he's going to be worth 10 Phillip Lindsays?
No, of course not.
Then, like, wouldn't that money be better allocated somewhere else? I'm not even saying, like, and this isn't me trying to shut on Austin Eckler. It just didn't feel like RB1 was a thing they needed to make a point of going to go get. And I think this just speaks to how weird of a GM what's his face is.
John Elway.
John Elway.
Yeah, I mean,
all flash.
I get why the Chargers liked Austin Eckler over Melvin Gordon. He just performed better. But at the same time, yeah, I agree with you that there's probably better ways to spend $8 million if you're the Broncos. But if you're going to be putting money towards a running back, Melvin Gordon for $8 million a year isn't exactly the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, no, it's not backbreaking. Yeah, I'll put it this way. It's not egregious. It's definitely not egregious. It just feels kind of awkward.
Yeah, I definitely think you could have gotten it done because that team isn't competing in that division right now.
No,
I mean, the Chiefs have it locked down. You basically have to gun for a wild card, and that's, you know, easier said than done in the AFC right now. But yeah, I don't know. I personally would much rather have stuck with Royce Freeman for, you know, his rookie deal Philip Lindsay on his rookie deal making literally nothing. But whatever. John Elway has proven himself to be an amazing GM time and time again.
Genuine question.
He knows better than us.
Genuine question. Who do you think finishes second in that division next year? Because that's not obvious right now in my eye.
I think the Chargers will.
Yeah, with Tyrod Taylor?
I think it's going to be whatever quarterback they take at whatever pick they have.
I actually have it up now. Chargers are 6.
Yeah, I mean, I think as of right now, it's going to be Justin Herbert. So I don't know how quickly he's going to be starting. But at the same time, I think the Chargers have such a dominant defense right now that they don't necessarily need Justin Herbert to carry the team. And he has weapons. I mean, he has Mike Williams, he has Keenan Allen, he has... I don't actually know who their tight end... Oh, they have Hunter Henry at tight end. Yeah, like their offense is going to be fine. Especially since that defense is seriously going to carry them.
Is Justin Herbert the third best quarterback in the draft?
In my opinion, yeah.
All right, I just want to make sure that was right because this isn't even in my eyes. The obvious picks, I should say, Cincinnati taking a quarterback at 1, and then Miami taking a quarterback at 5. So I just wanted to make sure. All right, cool. Speaking of the Broncos, real quick, they cut Joe Flacco, which shouldn't be a surprise to literally anyone.
Yeah, well, I really thought he was going to be the guy because John Elway, really big, really tall, dick made of iron. I don't know if anyone saw this coming. Just him disappointing and not living up to that. Just honestly too small of a contract. But yeah,
I get trading for Joe Flacco. I hear that quarterbacks really break out in their 12th season.
Oh God! You're drafting a quarterback. You got Drew Lock. Tall. That's it. He's tall. No, I do like Drew Lock. I get why you'd want to bring in a veteran who has a lot of experience to kind of mentor him. I just feel like trading a 5th round pick for Joe Flacco of all people and his ridiculous contract was just, if you had to rank all the decisions or all the options they had, that's probably pretty far down the list.
All right. So Joe Flacco posted a 85.1 quarterback rating in Denver. That was his best season at quarterback since 2014, when it was 91.0.
Don't sign a quarterback to a massive contract after one really good postseason. Even if they win your Super Bowl, I feel like, God, you can't just base it off that.
And what's more, that season is his 5th best season all time.
Really?
His season in Denver by quarterback rating, 85.1, is the 5th best season of his entire career. The only seasons he did better, 87.7 quarterback rating in 2012, 88.9 in 2009, 91.0 in 2014, and 93.6 in 2010.
Ugh.
Every other season he had, which is, 7 of them, were all worse than that.
Well,
So what?
I got nothing to say to defend Joe Flacco. I don't even like.
Oh, you know what's crazy? That 2019 season in Denver, his best completion percentage of his career.
Really?
65.3. Yeah, really.
Ugh.
Oh my God. I hate you, Joe Flacco. I hate you so much.
It's brutal. It's really brutal.
Love to see it.
Yeah. Ready to move on?
Yeah, I was gonna say, were there any other ones, or can we move on?
Andres Pete, interior offensive lineman, signed a 5-year, $57 million contract with the Saints. I thought that was a pretty interesting contract. I don't want to say he's not worth it, but at the same time, he had a down year last year, and that's a lot of money for that position. But at the same time, it's actually not terribly costly. It's just hopefully he comes back from a down year. And I mean, the Saints are fucking loaded at nearly every position, so more power to them. Sorry, go ahead.
I said dope.
It is dope. Steelers signed Eric Ebron to a 2-year, $12 million contract. I don't know how to feel about it. He's probably not the guy I would have liked to bring in, but at the same time, the other options were pretty shite. So I think he'll do fairly well for the Steelers, but then again, tight ends usually don't. So this is one of those where I'm strongly suggesting you wait and see. And then just scrolling through the rest of this, there's a lot of contracts here, not a lot of big ones. Emmanuel Sanders signed a 2-year, $16 million deal with the Saints. I think that's pretty huge for
Love it.
them. Emmanuel.
It's my guy,
I
Emmanuel.
think it's Josh's dude.
Love
Whenever
it.
we would watch games and he would catch any pass, Josh would scream Emmanuel Sanders in the way we just did. And it was phenomenal every time.
All because he was like one of the first wide receivers I ever like really followed, because he was one of the my very first season playing fantasy football, he was on my team and he had like a good season. And so I just like fell in love with him.
Yeah, Steelers draft pick. I really respect him for that. You know, he had other good years, sure, but he was a Steelers wide receiver.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure he'll be wearing that hat in the hall.
But
that
yeah,
he
I think
covered
that's
the
huge
Hall
for the
of Fame.
Saints. Really great guy to compliment Michael Thomas, and getting him help to just have any other targets for Drew Brees is necessary. So that's pretty much it for free agent signings. Those are all the big ones we have so far. Anyone you want to bring up?
No, not in particular. I figure we can now take the time to talk about some notable, not all of them, but just a handful of notable non or I guess remaining free agents, people still on the table. So to lead that pack positionally, quarterback Jameis Winston is still available. I'm not sure anyone cares.
I don't know where he's gonna go.
Do you think he'll get signed even like as like a backup?
I think he'll definitely get signed as a backup. I was hoping he'd get signed as a starter somewhere, but at this point, he's probably going to have to hold out until after the draft to really see where that need lies. Because it's really down to the Patriots and the Chargers, and both of them seem very content with who they have in their quarterback room, or who they're slated to get in the draft.
I'm trying to think if there's just any team that needs like a big boomer bust playmaker kind of guy. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure I see the need there. He's definitely going to go somewhere.
Yeah, he's definitely going to sign somewhere.
It would be interesting, and I don't think this would ever happen, but I do think it would be kind of neat as a let's see fit deal. The Chargers.
That'd be pretty fun.
Just because
that'd be pretty fun.
It would be fun, and also like the Chargers needed a guy to air the ball out last season, and Phillip Rivers just kind of, I guess, couldn't or wouldn't do it, and when he did, it wasn't great. And not that Jameis had a great season airing the ball out last year either. He threw 30 interceptions. But it certainly make for an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, like on one hand, they have that defense, so they don't need great conservative quarterback play to win football games. But at the same time, if the defense is doing the work, you just need a guy to not turn the ball over and force pressure on the defense. So, there's two ways of looking at that, but that'd be really fun.
Oh, it'd be super fun. Let's look at a few other guys here. So another available person, running back Devontae Freeman is available. Do you think he goes somewhere? Where do you think he goes?
Man, I think he's definitely going to go somewhere. I don't think he's going to be signed as a starter. I think he's going to end up just being a depth signing. I don't know. It's been a couple years since he's had himself a really standout season, and I'm just not sure that that's going to be something that we're not. I don't think we're going to see the former player that he was. So
He'd make a great addition to a running back by committee, which basically means he'd make a great addition to the Patriots.
I hate to admit it, but yeah, that's honestly likely.
Fullback Anthony Sherman.
Uh, I don't care.
Okay. Wide receiver Robbie Anderson.
I'm intrigued by this because I feel like Robbie Anderson should be on a team right now. I don't
Yeah.
really know what he's holding out for, if anything.
I'm not sure. I wonder if he's not holding out, but teams are, just because this is such a wide receiver draft.
It's probably a little bit of both. It's probably, there's so many wide receivers in the draft that teams don't have to offer him much, and I'm sure it's below his market value. And he's not about to take a cheap contract just taking a cheap contract. So I think he's going to be one of those guys that waits until after the draft.
Yeah, and I really like Robbie, and I really hope he comes back to the Jets because undrafted free agent dude and found success with the team. And he seems like a decent dude. I've met him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's a speedy go route dude. He's got decent hands. He's not usually a one for drops, but he's not going to be
he'd be
too much of a route runner, and you have to hope that his speed holds up. So I see why teams would have doubts.
I think he'd be an excellent number 2 receiver.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent.
He's primed to be on a team that already has a surefire wide receiver.
If the Steelers were really pushing to go all in next year and just put anything on the table, I think. Oh, and also if they had more than $36 in cap space, I think I'd really want them to go after him.
Brashad Perriman, do you think he goes anywhere? Or let me put it this way: do you care where he would go?
No, not really.
Devin Funchess?
No, definitely not.
Delaney Walker?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he retired.
I actually thought he was.
Yeah, I kind of thought he was retiring too, and then he didn't. So I don't know.
Yeah, offensive tackle Jason Peters.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting because he has the talent to really be a starter on most teams. It's just I don't know how old he is, but old is the right answer. And I don't know what teams are going to be shilling out a lot of money. So it'll be interesting.
Jason Peters is 38.
Holy fuck. Is he really?
Yes. Oh my God.
Damn. Good on him because he has held up.
Good for you, buddy. Wow.
Fuck.
38.
9-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion. That's a pretty damn good career right there.
How many touchdowns do you think he has?
None.
2.
Really?
Yeah, he has 2.
When?
Or maybe it's just 1? No, he has 1. Sorry, he has 1.
Hold on.
No,
It looks like
he
has 2. It looks like it was probably a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
So he has a receiving touchdown in 2005 with Buffalo. It was one of his 4 targets, 2 receptions, a total of 5 yards. His longest that's first downs. His longest pass received was 4 yards. But he's got a touchdown from that. And I
can't find. There's one that says other touchdown from blocked kicks or missed field goals returned. I can't imagine him returning a long kick, so I don't know how that would work. I really don't.
The all touchdown thing also says 1, and it has a link. So I clicked the link, and it's a blocked punt returned for a touchdown.
Huh, there you go.
So he has a receiving touchdown and a blocked punt return for a touchdown. And I know that those aren't his crowning achievements, but those feel like his crowning achievements. So good for you, buddy. A like career approximate value of 130, which is very good.
Damn.
Very good.
Damn.
I
Tag
don't
team
know.
twice on some ass like Grams.
I,
Sorry.
I could I could see a team out there giving it like a 1-year contract, just like
Oh
a,
yeah,
a team that's
absolutely.
like pretty much there and just wants to shore things up.
Mhm.
Or yeah, not the Jets because
Honestly,
they need long-term success, but like maybe like the Saints or like the Bucks that have
the
like
Buccaneers was who I was gonna say. I think he would be a perfect fit there for them
yeah,
because
old man Brady back there or old man Breeze. They don't move well. They need time. They only need a year or two. Like yeah,
like Donovan Smith, he's a Penn Stater. Don't care for him. I don't think he's the kind of left tackle you want protecting Tom Brady's blind side. But a guy like Jason Peters, if you can't grab a left tackle or you do grab a left tackle, whatever it may be in the draft, which is in all likelihood how it's going to be, maybe you move him to right tackle. I think that's a really good option for them.
all right. Well, I'd be super interested to see what happens. But anyway, Jermaine
I can't
Ifedi,
wait to see this Buccaneers team. I just got to say.
Jermaine Ifedi,
Uh,
he's
I,
available.
I don't care. He's never been good.
Last year he had an approximate value of 9. That's pretty good.
Uh,
But I
I
also
refuse to acknowledge that number.
I was gonna say that also might just be because Russell Wilson, wily person in the world.
Yeah. I
That's
refuse to accept that means he's good.
I also am now going to refer to Russell Wilson exclusively as Wiley Wilson. Um, guard Josh Klein. Do you care?
Not terribly.
Ronald Leary.
No.
We're really pushing the limits of names I know in the NFL here.
Hmm.
Center Daniel Kilgore.
Only because that's a dope name.
It's a great name.
Yeah. Colonel
Joe
Kilgore,
Flacco.
man.
Do you think Joe Flacco goes anywhere? Or do you think he hangs it up?
I think he'll. Man, it's hard to say. I kind of see him taking the backup role for a while, but at the same time, he's made so much money. I really wouldn't be surprised if he just hung it up and was like, "Fuck it, I'll take my iron dick home and call it a day."
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him for that. Maybe I'll just take him out to the back and shoot him. Who knows? Jadeveon Clowney isn't anywhere.
Yeah,
That's weird.
it's. I didn't realize this. Do you know how many sacks he had last year?
Is it going to be a big number or a small number? Um, I'll pick neither. 7.
7 would be incorrect.
What is it?
He had 3.
Oh, it was small. Okay, all right.
And he played 16 games, started 11, and only had 3 sacks.
So he's worth approximately 6 Leonard Williamses.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Giants should sign him to a $10 bajillion contract.
Yeah, I don't think they should. um, yeah, it's hard to say because he's one of those guys that he needed some time to really ramp it up because of injuries to start off his career. He's always shown that he has what it takes to be a good edge rusher. He's just never really put it together. And he's never had a double-digit sack season in the NFL so far in 6 years. So
Oh.
it's hard to say, like, man, you shouldn't give Jadeveon Clowney a contract because he sucks, because he doesn't. He's a really good player, really good run defender too. But he's, I don't know if I'd want to risk it on him, just assuming he's eventually going to put it together.
Do you
It's
think
tough.
he'd be a good candidate for a 1-year prove-it deal?
If I was an NFL team, I'd love to have him for a 1-year prove-it deal because I doubt he'd do it. I don't think he wants that, and I think that's why he's still unsigned because
That's a good point.
he's never proven it. So it's hard to say,
What do you think happens to Tremaine Johnson? Because he
Ooh.
was very bad.
Yeah, I don't see him getting anything more than, backup money.
Well, he doesn't even deserve it. Xavier Rhodes, which was a weird cut. What about him?
He's one of those guys where the name has kind of carried him the past couple of years. He's really fallen off a cliff. You know, it's one of those guys where I don't watch a ton of Vikings games, and even when you do watch, when you're not scouting the cornerbacks, it's hard to see them when they're, you only really see cornerbacks when they do something bad, for the most part, and he just hasn't really been all that great. So I don't know if he gets. I think he's kind of in that Trumaine Johnson boat of he's going to get backup money if he signs a contract anywhere.
Fair.
But he's getting older, so you can never throw out the possibility of him just hanging it up.
Tell me what you think will happen to Alec Ogletree, and also tell me how old you think Alec Ogletree is.
Oh, I'd probably say like 31.
So I would have said 31 or 32. He's 28.
No way.
Yeah, he feels so much older than that.
He does feel super old. I don't know. He's definitely going to sign a contract somewhere. He's worth it, but he's not the. I don't know. It's going to be a middle of the pack contract for sure.
Ndamukong Suh?
Yeah, he's definitely going to sign a fairly decent contract somewhere because he's still got it.
Yeah. I keep waiting for him to not. He's 33, which is the upper end, but I could see a 3-year deal out there for him.
Yeah, probably.
I'm trying to see if there's any other interesting names. Not really. There's names that that are still here, but like none that really speak to me as being worth talking about. At least none that we haven't already discussed. Any other names that you've been looking for?
I actually haven't had a list up in front of me.
Well, I mean, in general, anyone come to your mind?
Man, it's hard to say. It's one of those things where there's the big name guys are signed outside of Jadeveon Clowney, really. So I don't really have anybody at the forefront of my mind.
All right, well then
Looking at this list. I mean, Nicky Roby-Coleman, actually, the Rams just released him. I think he's 28. I think he signs like a maybe 4 or 5 year deal. He's one of the top cornerbacks in the league, and I think he's going to get a contract, maybe breaking the top 10. Probably not super likely, but he'll sign a good deal.
Then let's put a bow on the NFL for today by talking about the fact that the NFL is canceling the draft in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that hurt me when I read that. I definitely don't think they're going to cancel it outright. I think it's going to end up being.
Will still happen.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up being a over the phone conference call type deal or something online. I don't know. But
they're going to use the ESPN app.
Which, I mean, the NFL has had worse ideas. It's a shame because that's always one of the best weekends of my year because of how much I love the draft. I hope they do something to include the fans with it.
I could see the show, like the draft show, just being. Well, you know what? I could see them doing everything that they usually do, except with a little bit less of the fanfare. Like, there's no reason Roger Goodell can't still stand in front of a podium and do the whole. And with the first pick of the NFL draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, very true.
Like, there's no reason. Like, obviously, they just won't have anyone in attendance, and I'm assuming that would include the GMs, which they're usually in a war room anyway.
Right.
And then they could probably have cameras set up if they want to go this far. I can see them not even going this far. Possibly have cameras set up in a site that has the top rated draft prospects to get their individual reactions, as we do see with some of the prospects that choose not to go to the draft. I could see that. And then in addition to, because then the rest of the show is just like, the draft analysts sitting at a table talking about what might happen. So like, there's no reason that can't still happen.
Right.
So I'm sure there'll still be some level of I don't know, fan involvement or television experience or some shit.
Hmm. Yeah, it'll work out.
I think so.
It's too important for the NFL for it not to work out.
Oh, absolutely. They need that television money.
Hmm.
That's what it's all about there, folks. TV. um, I don't think there's really anything else. We had a couple other ideas, but apparently the NFL has provided. We were concerned about not having content, and the NFL was like, "Yeah, you go." So,
Let's have the craziest fucking free agency signing, opening in the past couple of years, just right now.
yeah, I bet the ESPN and CBS and all the sports networks went over to the NFL and was like, "Oh dear God, please give us today our daily bread. We are in such need." Um, the only other thing that's happening in the world of sports, baseball has resumed in the country of Japan. The
That's amazing.
NPB, the Nippon Professional Baseball League, is currently undergoing their spring training. They are having no fans in attendance, so it's just the teams playing ball. But hey, sports has resumed in another country that was affected by COVID-19, so we can have hope. I still wouldn't expect anything until May at the absolute earliest, and even that might be very generous. But we're seeing a very, very slight return to normalcy, which is still a glimmer of hope, and it's encouraging to see.
Yeah, I personally don't expect, for the regular season until maybe the middle or the end of June.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to have to do like at least 4.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Um, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. I feel on one hand, yeah, it's great to have baseball back and to have, um, you know, the NPB just having this and people being able to watch baseball again. But at the same time, it's like, is the risk worth it? I mean, you have the teams together. I'm sure the teams are being extraordinarily careful with it. But I think there's too much on the line for people getting sick, especially in a densely populated country like Japan, where you can spread it fairly quickly, and one little string of people getting sick could very quickly explode into an extremely long string of people. I just it's hard to judge what the risk really is right now. So
I would assume, based on having done literally zero, um, that the only reason the MPB is doing this is that all players who would be participating in the spring training have been tested and come back negative. That's the only way. If I was the commissioner of
yeah,
NPB, I would let it happen, which is
I
why
feel
I
like
would let players come in and do stuff and not fans.
I feel like there'd have to be continuous testing though, because there's no
Oh,
way
sure.
these guys are in perfect quarantines 24/7, and especially in a locker room and a team atmosphere like that. If one person, orders food and their delivery driver is contagious and passes it on to them just by handing them a pen or a receipt or their food itself, whatever it may be, that could quickly spread to the whole team. So I feel like there has to be some really in-depth preventative measures in place and just continuous testing.
May they be tested as frequently as Josh Gordon. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't get my hopes up with this. Baseball is not around the corner for us. Hockey is not around the corner for us. Basketball is not around the corner for us.
No.
Um, Treat it as a bright light at the end of the tunnel, and you ain't near it. But hey, it's there. So small glimmers of hope, man. Small glimmers of hope.
I know. I really just want to start drafting teams, like
I
fantasy
know.
teams, but I know that it's just going to drive me even crazier. Like just staring at a lineup doing nothing for the next 3 months is going to drive me insane. I just want to be able to have that lineup.
Um, I don't know if anyone out there plays it, but I play Tap Sports Baseball. because it's like a good way to kill some time and get familiar with a few of the players and all that. Guys I don't usually think about on other teams. And I've been playing like a fucking fiend because they just dropped the 2020 version last week. And I've been playing it so fucking much. It's my only baseball fix. And my girlfriend's like, why are you fucking playing this game so much? And it's like, this is all I have. This is the only baseball I have.
I love playing games, but like MLB The Show has never really done it for me. And as much as the game mechanics itself are not my cup of tea, I really want to just start playing it just to have baseball in my life again.
Dude, I'm like this close to watching streams of other people playing video games, which isn't meant to be derogatory. It's just never been my jam. Like I don't even play video games myself that much. Like I don't own a gaming system, but I'm like this close to watching other people play video games just because it looks like baseball.
That actually, just putting it on. So actually the plan that I've had, which I don't know if it's going to work, is picking a random team from last year that I don't remember the outcome of like their individual games, and then just going through on YouTube, watching the full recorded games and just pretending like it's this year, not last year.
I've toyed with watching a bunch of Perfect Games recently because I remember last year, just for fun, I watched David Cohn's Perfect Game because I never actually watched it before.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't like a conscious human when it happened. It happened in '99. I was 5. And it was a fucking blast. It was especially a blast listening to all the commentators be like, "Hey, Coney looks perfect here through the 4th. Interesting stuff." And then it's like he gets to the 6th, like he can't do it. He's not gonna do it. And then it gets to the 8th, and it's cool. I'm toying with the other because I've never watched any of the Perfect Games outside of David Cohn's Perfect Game. There's only 23 of them. And some of them are fairly recent. There's 3 in 2012 were the most recent ones, but there's 3. So that'd also be a good time. I'm thinking about doing that sometime soon.
That's still crazy to me that there were 3 in a single season.
I know, fucking ridiculous. Over 10% of all Perfect Games happen in 1 year.
I wish I was watching baseball that year.
I wish I watched other teams that year. Like my fandom was so close bordered up until like 2016 or 17. But yeah, I guess that's the way it goes. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Maybe no.
All right. Then let's wrap it up. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at JuicingPod. If you follow us via Gmail, you can do so at juicingthenumbers@gmail.com. Send us a question, a comment, a concern, episode ideas, whatever the fuck you got. And until Thursday, y'all have a good one.
Bye.